Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to today's Thomas Kren webinar with a panel discussion about the question AI in IT, just hype or real opportunity? My name is Toby Viton. I have the great honor to be your moderator today, and I would like to invite you at the very first beginning to make this webinar, this panel discussion interactive, because you have the opportunity to ask your questions by using the chat function, and I will implement your question into the panel. So first, I will show you our three panelists with three pictures. Here they are, and you can also see the agenda with the panel questions. Today, we will talk with Olga Lysak. She is Managing Director from Lemberg Solutions GmbH. Then we got Alexander Troshin. He's Product Marketing Manager, Europe, Middle East, and Africa at AMD. And last but not least, we will talk with Maximilian Brandt. He's Managing Director at Agital. It's a Hochtief company. So let me give you a short introduction, maybe a short appetizer into today's topic, because artificial intelligence has taken the IT world by storm. And I think in a record time, it's become an essential tool across the industry. But is this rapid rise just a flash in the pan? That's one question. Or can companies actually build future-proof, sustainable models to boost efficiency and productivity through AI? In this panel and this session today, we'll dive into the real impact of AI in IT. And we are going to ask what is working, what is not working, and of course, what's next. Then I got some organizational information. The panel today lasts about 60 minutes. As every time, it will be recorded, so you will get an email afterwards. And of course, you will find all webinars and panels on the Thomas Kren YouTube channel. So please have a look afterwards and check it out. And at the end of this panel, I will ask you to just spend 20 seconds for us to give a short feedback. How did you like it? What topics do you like to hear and to see from Thomas Kren in the future? So now it's time to get to know our panelists in real life with the video and microphone. So good morning, everybody.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. So I'm sitting in the German Sauerland right now. Where are you sitting, Olga?
Yeah, myself, I'm in Hamburg now. So our German office is based in Hamburg. So I have also sunny weather. Yeah.
Great. For a lot of people, the most beautiful city in Germany.
You can say this. It's like a very nice city. I'm happy to live here.
Okay, Max, where are you sitting right now?
So at Agital, we have office in Hamburg and in Essen, but I'm in Essen today.
And Alex?
And I'm in Munich, which potentially would compete as also one of the most beautiful cities in Germany. And we as AMD have an office here as well. So hi from Munich.
Great. I will shortly give some more detailed information about you to our audience. So starting with Olga, you are managing the Hamburg office of Lemberg Solutions. It's an Ukrainian IT company, and you are also head of AI business development, and I can say an enthusiastic AI ambassador who enjoys sharing her knowledge and experience. You are regularly pursues further training in this area through work in projects and, of course, your work in private life. So thank you very much, Olga, for being here.
Yeah, thank you. It'll be nice to be here.
Thank you. Max, you are helping cities and local authorities to create a digital twin. That's what you are doing in your daily business. And it's a digital twin of their infrastructure, and continuously you're trying to evaluate roads in order to utilize maintenance funds more efficiently. That's what you are doing, right?
Exactly. And also a pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being here. And last but not least, Alex, You're an IT and hardware enthusiast driving AMD server CPU adoption in the data center across Europe, Middle East, and Africa by expanding joint product, marketing, and GTM collaboration, and with end customers also, but with ICVs, ecosystem, and channel partners in the EMEA region as part of AMD's global server business unit.
That's true. So I have a privilege to speak with everyone, from customer to partner to distributor to some of our software vendors here in Europe. And it's pretty exciting times. So thank you for having us today, Tobias.
Thank you for being here, Alex. So let's go into the first question. Maybe I can start with you, Olga. From the digital drawing board to the application, where do companies stand?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Tobias. So I think today we focus mainly on Germany and as a like market where we live and work. So if you look on Germany, I would say we have in general the digitalization could be maybe more quicker than it is, but okay, things are happening. However, what I see, if you particularly look on the artificial intelligence, and Lemberg Solutions does quite a lot of like projects in the area of the artificial intelligence. We start a lot of like proof of concept. So we start with POCs because companies are interested to try it out. You have a lot of starting with ChatGPT. The awareness is much bigger than it was before, but unfortunately, often like the projects do not go out of the phase of POC. So we do like proof of concept. Company like has this fast state of the project, and at the end, I see that there is like maybe the companies need more like or better change management within the company itself. People are not, in fact, using so much this new digital innovation, and that's why the project stays in the phase of POC. So this is my point of view. Is that I would wish that we go out of this phase. It's a project. So we start with proof of concept, and we realize like bigger projects where companies are really digitalized at the end, that they have this innovation inside, people are using it and have real profit out of this, because it's like makes not so much sense only to stay in this preliminary phase. This is my opinion. Maybe Alex and Max have a different point of view, but this is how I see especially innovations in the artificial intelligence area for now.
Great, thank you. Alex, what is your point of view?
So it's a very interesting point, Olga, you're making, right? So not just about the AI in general, but also digitalization specifically. And I think even within Germany, there are really different experiences. Like it depends on the size of the customer, or size of the company potentially. Yeah. So I work mostly with large enterprise, so not specifically SMB Mittelstand, right? So I think my experience might be slightly different to where your lies in. But even within Germany, the perspectives and attitudes towards the AI topic, and even with time, are different. So we have done as AMD a couple of roundtables with customers across Germany, for example. And once we were in Frankfurt, and it was, I think, around a year and a half ago. And as you would imagine, a lot of attendees were more or less from the financial industry, which is highly regulated. So the perspective and attitude towards AI was somehow mixed. Yes, there is an opportunity, but there are a lot of challenges which comes to it. Now we've done another one, just like last week in Munich, and with representatives of different customer segments and different verticals. And I would say the attitude has shifted significantly. And to me, from what I see, like right now, after all these years, one thing is for sure, as also a direct answer to the question of today's webinar, which Tobias has shared, like I strongly believe it's all about opportunity. So there are some challenges which might potentially hold back some of the customers, some of the companies, but it's a big opportunity for us jointly together to deliver this value. And I think we will explore even more of that throughout the course of today. But I think, Max, you have hands-on experience with like cities and builders. Like, how does it work for you?
Yeah, I think what you two mentioned, I 100% agree with that we are in a transition period, I would say, towards AI. I think the awareness that AI is here to stay, that is set in most people's minds, but it's an unclarity of what the final state is. Yeah, and I think the innovation speed is as high as ever. And Olga, what you said with the proof of concepts, I think this is like putting a lot of, let's say, pressure to do these proof of concepts and figure out what works. And I think this is, but also on the other hand, very challenging, because if you don't know what the final state is, then an innovation speed, new models are being released every week. New versions, new variants are being released every week. This is making you question the proof of concepts much more than maybe 10 years ago, where you knew there's a new technology and this is somewhat the final state. Maybe it's being iterated on, but like you knew, you had a good idea of what you were dealing with. Yeah? And so I would 100% agree that we are in a transition period. I see this here at Hochtief, where we have a lot of proof of concepts with AI projects everywhere. And I think we've already figured out some that were sticking, some proof of concepts that we did in the past that we decided not to pursue. But with today's technology, we should probably dig them up again, and because now the turnout would be much different. And I think it's up to us to try everything out and see what sticks, and on the other hand, watch the developments very closely.
Right. Just a short reminder to the audience: if you got questions and you're not able to type it in English, it's not a problem at all. I can translate it, and of course, I am trying to translate the answer as well into German. So feel free to answer to ask your question in English or in German. It's fine. Thank you, guys. Let's coming to the next question, because which operational challenges are particularly holding them back, if they got held back, or if not, maybe, but if so, what are the reasons for it? Who would like to start? Olga?
Maybe I can jump in, because like I also see a lot of opportunities, and it's like I'm holding myself quite a lot of speeches on the topic of artificial intelligence, but there are these operational challenges. Unfortunately, they are there. So one of the main, like, very practical challenges we see while developing projects is like the state of the data. So how because if you want to do a good project on artificial intelligence, you need data. So without data, you won't achieve a good result. And the main like issue, especially in Germany, is that you are not collecting data in a proper way. So like there are companies who take care of this like for years, but there are also a lot of companies who are not paying so much attention to that. And this is like a pity. So in fact, when I talk to clients, I always say to them, okay, maybe you are not on the state to do the AI project for now. Okay, you have no budget, or maybe it's not on your roadmap, but take care, like look at your data and think if you are at least organizing your data in a proper way and collecting the proper data. Maybe like in 2 years, you will be ready to do an AI project, but then you need to have this data. And this is like to think about your data. It doesn't cost you so much money for now. So it's simply like a priority thing. And this is like an operational challenge for me. So, and I think maybe this awareness that you need to take care of your data, this is like something the companies should have. And the second one, I already started in my first answer. I think this is for sure the mentality, like how the change is accepted within the company. And this you can like, I think you can also change a lot with the education, like when you even like already starting with schools, that you give like children already much better overview of how important digitalization is, and what are like all like risks, benefits, like everything. And then you go up like to university, to also some additional maybe seminars in the companies, that employees are really aware of all this digital process. Because I think the very like big operational challenge is that there is somebody like in a leading position, in a like CEO, who is like very much willing to do digitalization and to do innovations, but he needs to be backed up by his employees. So people need to understand that this is like that they will have like a value out of this digitalization. And for that, you need to give them like a proper picture. If they understand, okay, we when we introduce like an AI project, and the AI helps me with like some routine tasks every day, which I'm also not willing to do so much. And if like while saving this time, I will have more time for some creativity to do maybe more strategical things. This is like a benefit for me. And this is like something you can for sure like put on the daily routine, like everywhere, to have this this awareness there. And again, this operational challenge that my team is not going with the innovation part, this will like go away. So this won't be so vital. But this is for sure a challenge for now. This I see, like especially like in mid-sized companies in Germany, this is for sure a challenge there, that employees who are already like for 20, 30 years in the companies, that they are not so much aware for what they need this innovation.
Max, what are the challenges in the construction industry, and maybe the challenges working with local authorities?
Yeah, I really like what Olga said, that you have to let's say have a good databases. Yeah, and I think this is definitely something in construction we struggle with a lot. And on the other hand, this is let's say this was the genesis of Egital, the Hochtief software company, where we could say this is our opportunity, because in construction, especially in big construction projects, each project is as big as, let's say, a mid-sized company, in terms of the revenue streams. And for this, every construction project has a lot of data, and all the data is different. Same as like if you would compare 100 small companies, they would all handle data differently. Yeah. So we said, let's apply AI, let's train, let's one time do the job and create a really good databases. And I think this was one of the biggest challenges we had to do. Yeah. For some context, what we do is we assess the condition of road infrastructure. So we trained a lot of images on what type of defects do we see. Yeah, like thousands of images we trained. And now it's really scalable. Yeah, because now we can apply it on all sorts of different projects across the world from Hochtief, but also at cities, and can assess the road infrastructure. Not that they don't have any data about their road infrastructure, but to be honest, there was so much data that it's not accessible. Yeah, and not every city and not every Hochtief project can go through that process of sorting out their data. So we would just recommend start from scratch, apply the AI solution that has been trained on a very curated data set, and create this structured data now from day one, very comparable across all Hochtief projects, but also for cities. Yeah, and I think this is the challenge, and in our case, the opportunity for applying an AI solution. Yeah, because just to give you an idea, like when a construction project is finished, you have, let's say, a terabyte of data. Yeah, and it's all various, and maybe for the human, only 50 megabytes are really, really interesting. Yeah, let's put it into like very, let's say extremes. And on the other hand, I would also agree 100% with Olga that the recruiting part is a big challenge. Yeah, finding the right personnel for creating the solutions, training the existing personnel on using this. I think it's part not so much on the motivation part, but actually like finding the right skills for the job.
Mhm. Alex, what would you like to add? And maybe you can also give a statement on Olga's point. She said it's also an educational question and maybe a big task to bring it into schools. And what is your experience concerning education with your clients?
100% agree. I mean, what Olga summarized, I really liked the holistic approach, and I really liked also how Max expanded it into more of the talent pool issues operationally. So to recap it back with everything, right? So what I really liked in Olga's mindset and her experience, like and how it's all, rounding up. Change management is one of the issues in general. It's coming to every technology. There's also a technological curve and a lot of research done with it. There are people who are lagging behind when it comes to the new technologies and adoption. There are people who are trying it immediately. And usually it takes time. It takes time, it takes education, as Olga mentioned, and I completely agree. It needs to start in the very, very beginning. We need to be a bit careful when and how, like it needs to be also controlled, even like the usage of mobile phones at schools, whatever, like whatever you want to name it, any type of widespread technological integration needs to be properly thought of, like in a nutshell. But it's a good idea to start in the very beginning. I mean, imagine when I was I was born in '94, right? So with first initial computers and building your initial PC and DSL modems and all of this stuff, it was fun to have also hands-on experience with building that. And so you get to understand the deeper level of technology straight from your hobbies or like the things you have in your day-to-day life. And for floppy disks and CD disks, like whatever you want to name it, right? Now the technological mindset and the technology itself changed dramatically. So people don't go hands-on, like they don't know how the floppy disk looks like, and they don't really need to care about it. But as we go through different, I would say, time periods in life and in progress in general, in innovation, it's important that those skills, those intrinsic value which you get from technology is available from education standpoint as early as possible. Because you can't just, like if you have a kid now and in 20 years from now, like the child has never used a computer, like it's a waste, basically. Like a lot of people might argue with me. It's a bit of a hot take, but in general, like our world is very digitalized. We have so many opportunities to communicate with people, to learn all through digital services, all through internet. And in the future, well, you might be one of the key skills you might have is actually prompting. Why not? Like it can be that. So the change management, mindset, innovation, education is all kind of running up as one thing, which is extremely important, but it will take time. As also a bit of and I know, Olga, I'll get back to you very shortly. So one last thought on that is when it comes to all of those technologies, right now with all the changes, I think Max, you alluded it with model changes, which are very recurrent and very, very frequent. Like the technology changes now are becoming faster and faster. So when we sit there and wait for something to happen before we start learning new things and start educating ourselves or others on them, like that will change already. Like the AI, whole AI world and the state of AI, even with video generation, which you can trace back like a couple of years ago, it has changed dramatically within a couple of years. So how will it all look in the future? Highly likely it will accelerate even further. So we always need to keep on track, stay with all the new information and keep developing. Otherwise, as always, your skills are becoming less relevant. And I think that's extremely important nowadays. So Olga, back to you. I think you wanted to add something.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. I just wanted to add that, like about this educational questions, that if you started, okay, it's for sure like a hot topic, because if you look on like on German schools, you always have this discussion. Okay, like in fact, the discussion is more because I have two kids in a school and I see the discussion. So mostly the discussion is about like risks. So nobody is discussing like any opportunities of a technology. But I think what's important that the kids, they need to have this critical thinking. They need to understand like different kinds of technology and like innovations, to understand for themselves what are like the benefits and what are the risks. Because if you are not educating them, and if you're not starting like really early, even for now, I would say, so I mean, everybody understands now that there is like an innovation need in Germany. So for sure we can't do it like we have been doing before. So like Germany is very, very much industrialized country, and you have a big industry, but this industry needs to be also digitalized, because otherwise you won't keep up with the simply with the with other countries. And for this, you need like new employees, like people who come on the market. They need to understand all like risks and benefits of these new technologies, and for that, they need to be educated. So any like on the other hand, you would have only like kids who really use a cell phone and are not knowing what is like inside and how it functions. And I know it like quite well, because like in my spare time, I organize also like an IT school for mostly like for Ukrainian kids, because we started like with refugees. And you see, so we teach them how to quite a lot in the area of IoT. So how they, for example, how they can program like like a parking device for a car not to collide, or how to, for example, so we have been programming like a small feeding houses for birds, that the birds are like feeded automatically. So like very like toy things, so to say, for them, like something which brings them a lot of like fun. But on the other hand, they understand how to do like a small programming, and something what you would normally also wait for that they do this in school, like in a normal school. And this is, I think, where we need to pay a lot of attention, like not only like to the industry, how it functions like for now, but it's for sure also an operational challenge for companies, for how they educate their employees and how they pay attention like to the whole educational level in the country. This is like, because this is like our future, and we need to give these kids this possibility to have a critical mindset, to understand the technology and to use this technology properly, because this is like our opportunity to be successful in future.
Yes, I totally agree.
At the bullseye. Yeah.
Sorry, Alex.
No, good. Bullseye. Totally agree.
Great. I have been a teacher in my first life, and I can totally agree, Olga, that the German school landscape, for example, is in the first step mostly skeptical with new technology. For example, with implementing a tablet, for example, it's very difficult in Germany. So we have the first statement and question in the chat. I would like to come to this right now. It's from Danilo. Thank you very much, Danilo, for your statement and question. He wrote, "Big challenge to ensure that intellectual property is secure and will not be used for training or other purpose. AI providers are not 100% clear in their statements and keep backdoors open. Especially for small or medium companies, it's too expensive to build up own technical environments for on-prem AI solutions. How to get confidence in AI providers to build connectivity between systems without losing trust by misuse of knowledge and data?" What would you say?
Yes,
I
want to recap on the question. Yeah, Max, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Alex.
So I just wanted to recap on the question, so I'm reading it through. But it's a very, very important and good concern, and in general, the question. So I don't think broadly in the industry, there is one agreed statement or opinion regarding that. There are things you can do to protect your IP and to protect your data. And when it comes to AI, I think to start, like to actually step back a bit. When it comes to AI, we tend to call everything AI nowadays. Like the whole industry, like everything is AI, which is not particularly true. And AI has different forms, like from classical machine learning to agentic AI to whatever you want to name it, right? So the LLM versus the statistical models are running somewhere in the background have completely different structure, like behind it, data structure itself. So it's important to understand first which type of AI I want to do, right? So when it comes to IP, yes. So there are, like, even if you go to hyperscalers or local cloud providers, wherever it's here in the region, the likes of Ionos or OVH Cloud in France or Scaleway in France as well, and some other players, or hyperscalers, so the likes of Google Cloud or AWS, Microsoft Azure, they do have features for confidential computing, and they do have particular regions, like local regions, where the data doesn't leave the region specifically. So when it comes to information sharing with larger big corporations, when it comes to model builders specifically, whatever it's Meta, whatever it's OpenAI and others, there are like industry-wide concerns in terms of where the data comes from. It's not transparent. And I don't know how much of the impact we can make within this panel session on that. That comes back to the regulations, right? So the regulations which are not maybe as mature as we want them to, because the technology, from what I have seen, is developing much faster than the regulations are. So regulations are trying to catch up, but when they are getting there, like, we need another regulation already because the technology has changed. So I don't think I have personally the best question to it, but there are operational and like technological ways of how you can secure your data, even in the cloud, or using local kind of private / hybrid / some type of a co-location cloud solutions, which you could use as well as a company or even as a small like personal usage. Like Hetzner, you can rent a bare metal server and all the data stays on the server and it's like for you. So you can wipe it up later on if you want to. So there are ways how you can do it, no matter the size of the company. But Max, what maybe your perspective, your concerns?
Yeah, I think it's the perfect recap you made on this, and the way I see it, it's a question of let's say convenience over security. Yeah, and with digitization, it's something you always had from the very beginning, but now that the innovation speed is so high, it's even more a question of convenience over security, or let's say not convenience but development speed. Yeah, so let's give you a very practical example. At the very beginning, when we started taking those pictures of the roads, we had cars and faces and everything in the pictures. Yeah, so the most convenient way would have been to upload it to the cloud and have like some existing model blur the faces and the cars. Yeah, that would have been the fastest and most convenient way. But we have at Hochtief a very strong, let's say, data privacy rules, also because not only because the fines are so high for it when you are such a big corporation, yeah, that if you violate them, it can be like that you have to pay millions, but also it's, let's say, in construction in our core DNA to be like very confidential about everything. So we had to take the time to develop an own model that is blurring those cars and faces in real time, let's say in the RAM, like in the RAM of the of the edge device. Yeah, so that's, I think, exactly what you said, Alexander. Yeah, there are technical possibilities, but for us it wasn't the fastest way. Yeah, now we're very happy because customers ask us about it. We can say with confidence that we have a very good system in place, but the quickest and most convenient way would have been to upload it to the cloud and use some existing models. And we chose not to do that because we valued privacy higher over speed. Yeah, and I think you can relate this. You can take this challenge, and have it 100 times in every AI project in the world every day. Yeah, and that's, I think, the question over what decision you make, and there are both ways. Yeah, and depending what you value higher or what's more important, sometimes maybe it's okay. Like, I want to learn very quickly what the technical capabilities are, and I create like a very uncritical data set and try it out. Yeah, and then I can learn quicker. But that's, I think, the decision you have to make every day.
It's actually also down to the technical requirements. So I don't know like your infrastructure, Max, right, specifically what you're using, but you can do and run like private AI models on your PC or like on your laptop. You don't always need a server with, I don't know, with the 3 million worth of GPUs, like randomly throwing the number up in the air, right? So you can do it on your PC, like sometimes, not always. It's all depends on the model size and a bunch of other complex factors. But in general, as Max mentioned, it's the choice between convenience or speed, latency, depends on which terms you would use, and privacy and some other aspects. So it's a very, very good example.
Olga.
I think it also was a choice. Like if you just want to try it out, so you do like starting simply to try out your idea. It makes like, in my opinion, not so much sense to invest like a bunch of money only into security and infrastructure. So you can use like a small private model, like embedding of OpenAI on your computer and try it out. And then when you see, okay, it functions as like your proof of concept functions, then you can think about like what are the risks and how you are going to deal with them. And maybe also to score these risks, because sometimes it's I think everybody is scoring like everything with the same level of risk, and it's like it's not like, even if you look now on this EU AI Act, so you have like different categories of like applications which are like on how really high risk they are or not so high risk. So and in this case, I think you can also evaluate of what is really your risk category. If like, especially I think in Germany, it's always a question like in a healthcare area, because we do quite a lot of projects there, and it's like always like a big challenge, because you have like patient data on one hand, and they are like very sensitive. On the other hand, I think you could do so much more in a medicine if you find like a proper solution how to treat this patient data, because you could like treat the diseases much better, like do much more in the X-ray area. And so for now, for example, we have a project where we changed from on-prem to a cloud solution on Open Telecom, like which offers like this healthcare cloud. And we try like to find a solution how to treat the sensitive data like properly. But there are like ways to do this. So it's like, I think, and also what I know, and like we work also on one project with a company from Hamburg. They are doing a lot in the area of federated learning. It's like more for bigger companies. If you have, for example, like several plants, and you do not want to mix data that one plant knows information from another plant, so you can also learn like on a federated way. It means you learn locally, and you only export the results into the cloud, so to say, like to explain it like very simply, and then you learn like out of these results. So there are like technically there are ways how to treat your data secure. And okay, it depends for sure. It's like also budget question, like how much money. But I would say you need to distinguish between like when you do the very first state of the project and if you want to expand. So I like in this very first state of the project, I wouldn't invest like all money only into infrastructure and security, because then you can't do the project itself. So you're already out of the budget.
You already talked about this topic slightly, but let's get it a bit deeper. The regulatory challenges. Maybe Max, you can start. What are the challenges in terms of regulatory?
Sorry. I think this is a question that, let's say, hits very closely to what I'm dealing with every day. Yeah, because I see there's a huge motivation to use digitization and AI in specific. Yeah, as also with the cities that I'm talking to, but the regulations, or let's just call it bureaucracy, is very high. Yeah, because for every project that you want to do that is over let's say a threshold of, let's say, 20,000 euros, you have to do a tendering process. That is not too different to the tendering process than the one that Hochtief has to go through when we're building a bridge. Yeah, but with the bridge, there is already a lot of bureaucracy. But here, it's just there's no the ratio is not I would say is off. Yeah, and I think this is something where other countries are making, let's say, already some smart solutions to that. That's saying, for example, we are pre-qualifying vendors nationwide. Yeah, and then when you want to buy a solution, you can buy it from a pre-qualified vendor. You don't have to go through the whole tendering process. So I'm not questioning that it makes sense to have this sort of, let's say, evaluation to ensure that taxpayers' money is spent well. Yeah, so don't get me wrong, there should be something in place, but I think there should be something that is more efficient. Yeah, where you could say, as I said, there's some pre-qualification, and then in Germany everybody can choose from these pre-qualified vendors, and not every city has to go through the process of doing this tender process that can go, let's say, over a year. The longest time we had was 2 years. So you can imagine how much time and also money was spent on this. And now the neighboring city wants to implement a solution, and they have to start all over again with the same. Yeah, and I think this is one of the biggest challenges for me, even higher than all the data privacy discussions and all the criticism towards AI we're currently having, because I can clearly say the motivation is there, but you have to be super motivated to push yourself through this tendering process. Yeah.
Thank you, Max. Alex, if you are comparing regulation processes from Germany with other countries, what is your experience?
So I mentioned already that in general, technology is speeding up faster than regulations, in my opinion, especially when it comes to AI. But when you compare different AI implementations, and not just AI, but digitalization, which is the issue we initially mentioned, even before coming to AI, and Olga expanded on that quite significantly. Look no further versus some like Baltic states, Baltic countries, right? So we'll go to the Middle East a bit, which is outside of EU, of course. But when you look into smaller countries, like you can see how more agile they sometimes are when it comes to digitalization, and it's basic digitalization, right? So governmental services, some of the healthcare, like whatever it is. Like there's a bunch of examples, bunch of things to say, like Finland or Estonia, very much functioning as digital government, basically. Germany, I think, is lacking behind that significantly, like with getting through the paperwork and a lot of documents sometimes, especially for people for coming to Germany, either to visit or stay, work, or migrate to. It tends to be pretty much a big challenge. And I believe it's always, I would say, a mix or careful choice between the speed and so it's like aversion or acceptance of risk. Like there are some risks when it comes to digitalizations, there are some like data or some protection or some regulatory risks also when it comes to AI or any other technology. You know, I don't want to sound like a demagogue, but look at the electricity, look at the will. Like there were people who were against those technologies as well, like some time ago. But here we are now. So comparing Germany to, again, like to some other countries, I think it's also dependent on the size of the country. So Germany is quite big from both the economic perspective as well as population, quite decentralized as well from different verticals and industries across the country. Versus some smaller countries. I mentioned Estonia as an example, Finland, smaller, still quite advanced in both economic and digital front with startups and innovation companies. Look into, I think, comparing it within the European region, not the EU specifically. Maybe UK comes to mind, comparing it to Germany or maybe France. From what I have seen for different customer interactions and partner interactions, in France there is a lot of excitement and movement around AI. So they have a lot of local ecosystem and local startups, and Mistral is one of them, which is quite globally famous when it comes to AI. So they have a lot of investment, and they were initially, I think, one of the biggest spenders when it comes to AI. But some countries are still catching up, right? So when it comes to Germany versus UK, similar stories. Like UK is very, I would say, UK has a very strong influence of the public sector and regulation, but they're also quite sometimes decentralized when it comes to some of the IT systems and how they operate between the different countries, which are countries and states within the UK. But in general, even when it comes to digitalization, it feels that they are quite more advanced versus Germany. Same goes to, I don't know, for example, Netherlands. And when you look into more like, I don't want to call it emerging markets, it's not the correct term, but look into the Middle East with all the investments which is going on in the UAE or Saudi, like it's crazy. Yeah, it's a different perspective in terms of the regulations, government, and a bunch of other elements. But even interesting, I think it's still in the discussion phase. Interesting press news when it comes to, I believe, UAE trying to sign off the ChatGPT access for every resident of the country. I mean, that's very interesting. You know, it's not just from the perspective of will it be realized and where it will all go, but just openness to take this action, openness to take a risk to some extent and try it out on a very large portion of your population within the country, is something I think we will not see in the near future in Germany for sure, maybe in the long term either. So, but it's always a balance between risk reward and how much of the balance you are able to afford. And I think Germany as a whole, depends on the region particularly, is more in the conservative part and more into the kind of a stable risk averse part. It might change. Let's see. There are good signs in terms of even like some of the services improved and digitalization being more prevalent, but it will take time. I think Germany, and time is of essence. I think in order to win in the current world, you need to be fast. That's one of the things I've observed. Don't know if this helps, and maybe Max and Olga can share their experience, but that's what I can see in a nutshell.
So I think yes, Olga. Mm-hmm.
They have like a big hope in the digital ministry, which is has been founded in Germany, like in Dr. Wilberger. Maybe because in fact I was like already for years planning for a kind of digital ministry, because like I come originally from Ukraine, and in Ukraine you have this like a digital minister who was also like he's coming from the industry and knows how digitalization works. The same as like in fact with with German now digital minister, he also comes from the industry, and I hope that he because he knows the challenges and he knows that there is like a big innovation need there, that maybe like the politics will also change in the correct direction, that they give some more support for this. And because but for sure it's like necessary that he has a good backup like in the whole government, because like in Ukraine it was like the digital ministry, they had like very high innovation speed, and they had some maybe like on a certain point of time very crazy decisions they wanted to implement, because this is like if you do like a governmental like an application for all like governmental procedures, and everything is like in one application, this is for sure impacts like whole population, and you need like a backup like from the whole government. But it functions, like everybody is using this. So if it's like everything is in fact like very much digitalized, you can found a company in one day, you can do like all things and with the tax authorities within like 20 minutes. And this is like something we can dream in fact here. But this is also something which, so like 1 month ago, I talked to an AI startup in a healthcare area, like in Hamburg. They have a very cool idea, like what they wanted to do. And they decided to go to Portugal and to found the company in Portugal, because after they get a knowledge about all the procedures, they needed some 2 to 3 months like to get the tax number. And it's like this, because I know it like from my own experience. And like to get the subsidies they were like looking for the very beginning, it would take them also some at least some 6 months. So it means their time to market would be like much more slower. And like, and in Portugal, they told me, okay, they need 1 day to have the company, like 1 week to have the subsidies, because there are like governmental subsidies, but it takes, everything is digitalized, you need like 1 week. And that's why they decided to do everything there. But it's like a pity, you know, because you lose like really cool people who could like pay taxes here and do this innovation here, if you could like speed up this governmental, like this bureaucratic issues we have, at least like to speed up the company founding. I mean, so it makes no sense if the procedures are, and like my own experience shows, because I'm already like doing business quite many years, that it becomes slower. Unfortunately, it's not becoming quicker, it's becoming slower, and this is like not a point. So you need to have like a speed up there. So hopefully this digital ministry will play like a good role there, and will help and to speed up some processes.
Thank you. Max, how much measurable value contribution can be realized with AI projects at the beginning of 2025?
Yeah, that's a good one, because it's so different if you compare where we're coming from, which is Hochtief, yeah, and you have construction projects that have a margin, like not specifically Hochtief, but I think on average construction projects have a margin of maybe 3%, yeah, like industry-wide. And then you're looking at AI products that have a margin of, let's say high double digits. Yeah. So in terms of the value contribution, I mean, Agital, the few millions in revenue Agital makes compared to the billions of Hochtief is still significant for Hochtief. Not, I mean, right now, but in terms of going forward, because like if you compare it, yeah, it's the operating margin that is so vastly different. And I think this is really showing why the investment of Hochtief in these kind of products is so is on track. Yeah, still there's a way to go, but I think everybody wants to be a company with these high operating margins, and obviously, like AI will also change the margins, I'm sure, in the construction industry. Yeah, but even if you would double them, you would be still far away from, let's say, the margins that let's say Microsoft is having on their cloud services. Yeah, so I think, not to go into specific, let's say, value numbers, but I think the key part here, I think, is the operating margin. Yeah, that in the traditional industries, in Germany is very industry heavy, is so vastly different to the software companies. And I think there's going to be a shift. It's on one hand changing the operating margins in the industry, but on the other hand, there will traditional companies like Hochtief will put out products and with that change their overall operating margin.
Thank you. Alex, what would you like to add?
Well, I think we have different layers of experience, which is quite fun in the panel discussions. I'm not talking about all the same, but answering the question of this section, and simply, it's from my perspective a lot. Why? I'll expand. So it's from simple, because that's where I stated before, right? So it depends on which type of AI we're talking about. From simple employee AI productivity tools and enhancements, let's say Copilot and with Microsoft, right? So when it comes to some of the large enterprise, or also some type of SMB who are using Microsoft 365 and Copilot. So to simple auto-taking notes and the gender recap, which apparently helps a lot to people who are over like double, triple booked. You know, you don't need to watch all the recordings when you can get a quick summary. To some agentic AI already implementations. For example, some of the companies I've met and some of the partners I've met have referenced integration of, let's say, kind of a chatbots like for HR support and for some doc generating support. And to expand on that specifically, I think we don't always realize how frequently we and the people around us are asking questions which could be answered by a simple Google search. And this is very similar to the like in the corporate environment as well, because many simple questions or information sharing can be automated or improved. So people are raising the same, you know, like it's the information which is publicly available or is set somewhere in like the intranet of the company, and people would still go to the owners and ask the question like where I can find it or what could I do, which takes productive time out of those people. So AI could help with that immediately. So like again, for the chatbots or from some type of automated functionality, when you don't need to take the productivity time off the people, like whatever it's in HR or in finance or in legal, and get some type of help initially to answer the basic questions, and then move further into the real conversation and reaching out to real people when there's more of the custom requests moving on. But that's coming back to it. It's like, as I mentioned, like from HR experience, it can be some type of onboarding or some type of a custom form or commonly used form process, like verification of employment or some other things. Like, you know, so this can be automated or helped with using AI. To drafting some type of legal documents as well, from NDA to MOU forms or other commonly used documents. I mean, you could use the current state of AI already to have very good results in that, and also train the models to even go deeper and getting the custom forms and custom analysis of this particular legal documents available. But this is what you can do now, right? So, and this is 2025. And in the following years, I mean, this would expand dramatically. And like in my role specifically as a PMAM, right? So my main focus is to drive adoption of our server CPU lineup. But I'm a speaker for data center topics. But when it comes to the CPU lineup or any type of like product development or brainstorming, without sharing, and that's back to Olga's common sense and critical thinking, without sharing too much of the confidential data, like, well, not sharing confidential data specifically, or using private models, you can brainstorm some ideas or improve your even like communication or presentation style, whatever you want to do. Like, and it can help you both on the personal level as well as on the company level when it comes to, again, like chatbots and some of the agentic AI, as you can just be more productive. You don't need to spend like an hour or summarizing all of the notes and following up with all the actions and next steps and all of that stuff, you can give this job to basically AI chatbot or Copilot and double check it within a couple of minutes and move further. Like you are encouraged in the current world scenario to be more productive. And we honestly spend a lot of time, sometimes non-productively, like doing some boring manual stuff. Like I think we have very good chance to get rid of that this year and then maybe in a couple of years from now. And do exciting stuff, right? So as Max and Olga mentioned, so exciting projects, exciting developments. So yeah, and Olga, what is on your mind?
Yeah, in fact, I agree with you completely. You know, because if I look like on our project requests, like we have like very complex things, like I mean, predictive maintenance, predictive analytics, where you need really AI models. But in fact, what helps companies, like where you see a very quick measurable results, are quite like simple AI agentic requests, where, like for example, employees we have for now like a new request where there are like employees spending time to take data out of safety data sheets. So you need to have some parameters there, and they simply this safety data sheets, they are like 50 pages. Somebody is sitting there and like scrolling this data sheet to take out like some 4 to 5 parameters. And it's like, it's a real full-time job to do this, because if you have like a lot of products and they are up from time to time, they are also being updated, this safety data sheets, you need somebody to do this boring job. And but if you do this like, and this is not like a big project, this, I mean, you simply train. In fact, you are training like an embedding from OpenAI, and you read out this data like in several minutes without a person sitting there and doing this boring job. And in fact, you have an impact like on really on the life of these people doing this job. So they have time to do some much more like strategically important things, and not to sit down and manually take out this information. So I think that there are like a lot of things where we can improve simply the way people work, and help them get rid of this boring routine tasks. And I think this is also something how we need to sell the AI applications. So I mean, to explain people that this will not only take them jobs, but also help them with like some simple tasks where they spend a lot of time, like, or waste a lot of time. And I have been listening to a speech of a Japanese consul in Hamburg, and she was like showing sketches from Japan, how Japanese government is like explaining people what is AI about, and they made like really very simple like kid comics pictures where they show people, okay, if like somebody is for example helping you with parcels or with reading out information, then you have time to play with your kids, or you can simply have like much more creative time. And this is like how they try to explain people that technology development is not only bad, but can give them also benefits. But if you go like a bit deeper on like value contribution, we had, for example, recently a project for wind turbines, and have been doing like predictive maintenance projects there. So if you can achieve with AI that a wind turbine, like of for example, a 3 megawatt is working more days a year, then it brings like the value output is like really huge. So I mean, you are earning a lot of money if you have like more days of working time, and you are not like maintaining a wind turbine. You like avoid this maintenance times where you shorten them. Then you simply like you have a much better margin. Or you can, I think what we forgot is also to talk about sustainability, that in fact with AI projects or like with usage of AI, we are not only improving our like measurable operational margin, but also reducing waste. So we had like recently we had a project for big mid chain, and they had like, they wanted to do predictive analytics, in fact, to avoid so much waste with meat, because if you are like doing orders and you order like not correctly, so then you have like meat which you are not going to sell within the next days, and at the end you are producing waste. But if you can use AI and like train it on your historical sales from the past years, so you can do much better prediction of how much you are going to sell. And so at the end, we reduced their waste up to 40%. So it's like really a big impact. And you can use this also like for CO2 reduction, like for different things like which impact our environment and sustainability.
Yes, that's our real opportunities, and I'm feeling that we are in a positive, good mood for the last question. Maybe we can use the last question to sum it up and to end it up with a future perspective. And maybe if you want, you can also find some motivational words for our audience, answering the question, when will the training wheels be superfluous? That's the last question. Max, maybe you can start with it.
Yeah, it's I really like this question, because I would say right now, because if the human is in control and the AI is delivering, let's say, insights to the human, then the human still is in control and can see what to make out of the results from the AI. Yeah, and I think what we talked about a lot of the risks, yeah, and I think, but it all comes down, if the human is in control and not the AI, let's say, oversteering the human decisions. This is a part where a lot of the risks are, let's say, becoming less relevant. Yeah, and then the positive sides become more prominent. And I think the most prominent side, we talked a lot of productivity, but I would also add that you're becoming more productive, but you're also gaining a lot of skills that you didn't have before. Like, for example, maybe you always thought about programming your own app, yeah, and but you didn't have the coding skills, but now you can do it, yeah. Or I always wanted to draw, yeah, but I didn't have ideas, and now I can bring these ideas to life. And Olga, you said, for example, this comic where they used to explain people some things. Yeah, now I can produce a comic to explain things to people, and this is, I think, the most exciting part, that we're gaining skills that we didn't have before, but maybe we had the ideas to do something in this regard. And with productivities and skills, I think it's just a very exciting times for empowering humans with AI. And as long as this is the goal and this is the focus, I think we're on the right track.
Thank you, Max. Alex, do you agree? No training reels anymore from today?
Well, I do agree with Max, but it's all about continuous improvement. So it's continuous training. It's not stopping it, right? So, and that's the key point. I'm a big believer in continuous improvement myself, and like on the personal level, like if you ask this question and replace like what you have on the slide, like AI versus human, well, will the training wheels be superfluous? Like when at which moment in time, that like as a person, as a human being, the training for you is excessive or unnecessary? Like that's the question. Like I'm a big believer in continuous improvement. The world around us is changing. You always need new skills. There's so many exciting things in the world you can learn about. And I think as we go further and further with technology advancements, it becomes easier to get to know new things and try new things. And I want to resonate to what Max said, actually. So I didn't specifically want to draw throughout my life, but I can't draw like myself very well. But now you could do something with AI and just produce things to, I don't know, do an image board for yourself just randomly, or play around with different concepts in your mind. And maybe this would inspire you actually to move into the physical realm and try things as you are improving them for yourself. Same goes to music as an example. So had an interesting encounter recently, and the person is a musician, coming from a family of musicians. And the person said simply, you know, like what, 70 years ago, or I forgot the particular time frame, maybe 40 years ago, the industry, like the musicians were all against samples, because like people were saying this will kill industry, and it will mean that there are less and less musicians than who are really producing music. But as we went through the cycle, now the number of musicians and number of people who are trying, at least from the basic level of doing the beats and everything, is more and more. So we have more actually music and more interesting stuff, more genres, more experimentations, and AI will help to to generate more ideas, you know, like more mixes of things which might not have been thought of or might not have been tried out, and this will improve even further with even more training. So I think like what the question I would ask on this question is actually, but will it or should it be superfluous? Like, will there be a point, or should be there be a point when training is irrelevant? I don't think so. I think we always need to improve. There are so many things we could also discuss and dream of. Space travel. Like it's a lot of things which are there, which could be improved. And I think people are getting excited. So Olga, what are your thoughts?
Maybe sorry, I thought Max, maybe you would directly answer.
Just to, because I think there's different ways to reading this question. So Alex, I 100% agree, and I think training will never be done. Yeah, not for us humans, nor for the AI. The way I read it is, when can we take, if we're riding a bike and we have training wheels, yeah, when can we take them off and ride? Yeah, and I think we can ride right now. Yeah, we can use the AI for many things and be creative and be more productive. But obviously, the other aspect of this question, training will never be done. Also, 100% agree with that.
We got it. And thank you, Max, because maybe you are just mentioning to improve to become a mountain biker, for example, in the future, and then a race driver. Olga.
Yeah, what I wanted to expand on Alex, that in fact this is like a good thing with AI, that it gives us this also time to train new skills. So that if we take if we give AI all this boring things, then we have time like to develop new skills. It gives us also some inspirational moments. So we are training AI, and at the same time we can train ourselves. So this is so there is like on both sides this continuous development and improvement, and as long as we are improving, we can also like the human will be the one who is like controlling the whole thing. So I mean, we need to develop so in fact we come back to the education too, that we need like to develop ourselves. So we can't stay on the same level of like knowledge and innovation path. So we need to go further as a human being. So the technology goes faster, and we need also to study further. So I think there won't be times like maybe our parents had, that they had like a certain education, they obtained at the university, and they always stayed with this profession. So we need to be like much more flexible, and maybe some jobs will go away, but some new come. So there are already a lot of jobs connected to like to prompt engineering, and there will be some for sure next year's like more new job opportunities. And I think our mindset should be that we need like to understand, okay, in our life we will do different things, and this is like something we need to be like open-minded and critical thinking to understand this, and to simply to accept this. This is like how the way goes, how the life goes.
To
Right.
add one thing only, Olga, to what you said, AI will not help us to train critical thinking and common sense. That's on us.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do, for sure.
That's on us.
I think that's where, Olga, you hit the bullseye in terms of the education and the key point when it comes to AI and human interaction. but AI can help in other ways as long as we have that. So I think from the education standpoint, we need to have those core skills, which are sometimes, unfortunately, also not being taught. This is a very, very deep philosophical discussion I don't want to start, but it's extremely important. And I really love that Olga brought it up. So just want to have it out there.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
So at the end, I would like to focus on the main questions, on the main question we have over our panel. It is AI in IT, just hype or opportunity? And maybe you can answer in just 2 words. Is it just hype or real opportunity, Olga?
Yeah, it's an opportunity for sure. And we need to use this opportunity, I would say, if we have it.
Max?
Opportunity. Just one word.
Alex?
All about opportunity, I agree.
Perfect. So we are at the end of the panel, and I would like to thank you very much, Alex, Maximilian, and Olga, for your time, for your expertise. Very interesting. I really liked it that we talked about different ages, that we talked about education in school and different business cases you just experienced in your daily business. So once again, thank you very much. Dear audience, thank you very much for being with us, for your question, Danilo. And at the end, I just wanted to say, have a great day and a great week, and maybe see you soon. Thank you so much, Alex, Max, and Olga.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.